Next on Newsmax Prime, the day after debate number 2. Now who's number 1 among the GOP candidates? We'll hear from a plethora of pundits who argue tonight about those who argued last night. Then, pandering at the Pentagon and elsewhere in our intelligence community, with the outbreak of happy talk, has careerism displaced candor? We'll discuss. And of special interest, interest rates. What will the Fed do, and are investors fed up? You invest the next hour with us as Newsmax Prime starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth of Prime Interest Tonight, the debates after the debate. Less than 24 hours after last night's event, pundits continue assessing what went right and what went wrong, arguing about the performance of all the GOP candidates. So, who were the big winners and the big losers? Miranda Kahn joins us with more from our Newsmax Prime newsroom. Miranda?
JD, 11 candidates went back and forth for more than 3 hours in the main stage event, and just like in the first debate, all the high remarks went to the lone lady on the stage, Carly Fiorina. She received a huge ovation when she responded to Donald Trump's comments on her looks, but some say her strongest and most passionate statement came when addressing the issue of those Planned Parenthood videos, many giving her praise for going right after the Democrats. Take a listen.
I dare Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama to watch these tapes. Watch a fully formed fetus on the table, its heart beating, its legs kicking, while someone says we have to keep it alive to harvest its brain. This is about the character of our nation. And if we will not stand up and force President Obama to veto this bill, shame on us.
And as for Donald Trump, he was quick-witted as always, going back and forth with Jeb Bush. This after Jeb took the first shot, accusing Mr. Trump of trying to win influence to land casino gambling in Florida while Bush served as governor.
The one guy that had some special interest that I know of that tried to get me to change my views on something that was generous and gave me money was Donald Trump. He wanted casino gambling in Florida.
I didn't want it.
Yes, you did.
Totally false.
You wanted it, and you didn't get it because I was opposed to casino gambling before, during, and after. And that's not, I'm not going to be bought by anybody.
I promise, if I wanted it, I would have gotten it.
No way, Ben.
Believe me.
Nope.
I know my people.
Not even possible.
I know my people.
And we'll hear much more from Trump later on in tonight's program. Meanwhile, the Daily Mail reports that Bush, who's relatively the same height as Donald Trump, was caught standing on his tiptoes in a group photo to make himself appear taller. As for those who came up short, so to speak, Mike Huckabee drew the short straw and had to wait for quite a while to answer a question, as did Governor Scott Walker. Still, Walker managed to score a few points with viewers by evoking Mr. Trump's own reality show in a back and forth. He told Trump, quote, "We don't need another apprentice in the White House." JD, back to you.
Thanks, Miranda. For more on last night's debate, we're pleased to be joined via Skype from New York City by the former Lieutenant Governor of the state of New York, Betsy McCaughey. And Skyping in from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we're also joined by Justin Sayfie, publisher of SayfieReview.com. Justin is a former advisor to Governor Jeb Bush. To you both, thanks for your time here on Newsmax Prime. Betsy, Miranda just played that soundbite with a spirited exchange between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush. How do you think both men handled themselves?
Well, Trump did pretty well last night. He's always at his best when has the podium to himself, but he did rather well last night. Bush, despite calling himself an energizer, was actually not that energetic last night. But the big winners last night, the GOP, 24 million viewers, 3 times as many people as tuned into the CNN debate in 2008, the last biggest audience for CNN. So the GOP is winning big by attracting these huge audiences to listen to its message and its candidates. And the other big winner, of course, and let me just say, even though many GOPers don't like Donald Trump, that party should be on its knees thanking Donald Trump for what he's doing to their viewership.
Well, maybe CNN should be in the same position with Donald Trump there. But let me turn to Justin. Let's let Justin in on this. Obviously, he's worked for Jeb Bush. I got to tell you, Jeb's a gracious guy, but for a lot of the night, Justin, he seemed ill at ease in the first part of the debate. He managed to get off some zingers of his own. How do you think your former boss did, the former governor of Florida, last night?
Well, it probably won't surprise you to tell you that I think he did very well. I think he obviously had a strong performance. I think that you're right that he got better as the night went on. But, you know, he did start out. That exchange that you showed came about Donald Trump contributing money to the Republican Party of Florida while Jeb Bush was running for governor, and then trying to persuade Governor Bush to support casino gambling. And Governor Bush said no because he was a principled leader and opposed casino gambling before Trump gave the party money and after he received that contribution. I think that he was able to show that he's not someone that's under the influence, as Trump was suggesting, because the one person who was making that allegation, Donald Trump, was someone who Jeb Bush had said, no, sorry, I don't follow the wills of the people who make contributions. So I thought he did very well.
All right. Well, we talk about money. We can talk about time. It's an interesting breakdown on who controlled the time. NPR was keeping a clock on everybody. And the way CNN set up the questions, Donald Trump had more time than anybody else, 18 minutes, 47 seconds. Jeb Bush came next with about 16 minutes. Carly Fiorina with 13 and a half minutes. Ben Carson almost 13 minutes. Chris Christie 12 and a half. And you see on down to where Mike Huckabee got less than 10 minutes. So Carly had the third most minutes of airtime. Betsy, I'm interested. Was Carly Fiorina the big winner last night?
She was the big winner last night, just not simply because of airtime, but also because of her forcefulness. She was able to demonstrate her mastery of many topics, including the fine points of improving military preparedness. She was really at her very best last night. A little smile would have helped, but she did very well. I do want to make a point, though. Jake Tapper asked right near the end of the debate, what woman should be on the $10 bill? It was kind of the great American woman question. And the candidates looked like deer in the headlights. A couple of them came up with reasonable answers, but in fact, Jeb Bush's answer was one of the most disappointing. He said Margaret Thatcher. You mean he couldn't think of one great American woman? The fact is the Brits would never print the image of an American woman on their British pounds. Why should we print the image of Margaret Thatcher, one of my favorite people, but print her on American money? He couldn't think of Molly Pitcher.
Well, let's go to Justin on that, Betsy, you know, because, or maybe even Barbara Bush. The other thing, Justin, not to pile on, we're going to give you a minute to respond here, but when he said, gee, putting Margaret Thatcher on that might be illegal, not the greatest moment for the governor. Last minute belongs to you. Really 30 seconds to sum up, Justin.
Sure. Well, look, I don't know that voters, when they go to the polls, they're going to base their vote based on the answer to that question. And look, they were in the Reagan Library standing next to Ronald Reagan's Air Force One. And anyone that remembers that era remembers what a wonderful ally and a strong ally Margaret Thatcher was to the United States in defeating communism around the world. So I think it was a natural answer for Governor Bush to give. But again, in the long run, I don't think it makes much difference in terms of what voters are looking to vote for when they look for a presidential candidate.
For the record, I tried to put President Reagan on a 10 spot when I was in Congress. Betsy and Justin, thanks to you both. We just had a spirited discussions about the candidates and how they did last night. We want you to weigh in on our poll. Here are the up-to-date results. Donald Trump still leads with 48%. Carly Fiorina second at 21%. You can weigh in online by going to newsmaxpolls.com. Still to come, we just talked about Carly Fiorina, but will her performance attract more than female voters? Ellis Hinniken and Brad Blakeman debate. Then later, he was one of Mitt Romney's advisors. Now he's with Governor Scott Walker. Robert O'Brien will join us, along with Rand Paul advisor Kyron Skinner. But first, Reagan biographer Craig Shirley joins us from the Reagan Library with more on last night's big debate All that and more as Newsmax Prime continues.